really discovered America? An ancient currency shows the world map, clearly showing Europe, Africa, to the left America, and to the right Asia. Ancient Greeks seem to have known about the existence of North America and the Arctic Circle, which they called the Hyperborea far north. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato in 360 BC, through the philosophical dialogues of Critias and Timaeus, analyzed the theory of Atlantis, claiming that it is a continent that crosses the Atlantic. While in size it was larger than Asia and Libya together, over the centuries it was considered possible that Plato meant the American continent and not Atlantis. So he perhaps was referring to North America as being Atlantis. Many scholars and analysts have argued that based on the correct translation of Plato's texts, Atlantis is located in the Mediterranean, not the Atlantic, or some other exotic location. However, the historical data does not favor the theory, since in the 4th and 5th centuries, the ancient Greeks could not know the American continent. But let's remember, though, we have had articles written by archaeologists and anthropologists saying that the Native American Indians of the Great Lakes area have DNA from Crete. They have Cretan DNA. Now, obviously, to have Cretan DNA, the people from Crete had to be living there. Now, in 1996, Mark McManaman, a geology professor at Mount Holyoke College in the United States, discovered and interpreted a series of images on the back of a Carthaginian gold coin dated to 350 BC. These coins are considered to be the oldest world maps, which proves, as the distinguished geologist claims, that the Carthaginians had sailed to the New World, quote unquote. What is most interesting about the find is that the specific coin of Carthage was issued in the same decade that Plato mentioned the history of Atlantis and revealed there was a large continent beyond the pillars of Heracleon, meaning the columns of Gibraltar. And here you can see the inscription below the legs of the horse on that coin. To the left, America, and in the center you have Europe, down to the bottom in the center, Africa, and Asia on the right. So, in Greek mythology, the columns of Heracleon were two pillars that Hercules had erected when he took the Hesperonychus apples to Eurystheus. The ancient Greeks believed that they were located in the Iberian Peninsula, today's Gibraltar. Gibraltar, according to Plato, at the mouth of the strait where the columns were located, there was a large island giving enough information about it, leading some researchers today to believe that it was the lost Atlantis. There they believed that this was the edge of the world. And what about the map of Piri Reis? Although this famous world map is by no means close to the actual image we see from a satellite, it still depicts the continents on both sides of the Atlantic with quite a large deviation. The Piri Reis map was named after a famous cartographer, admiral of the Turkish fleet, designed in 1513, almost 2 decades after the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus, depicting the west coast of Africa, Europe, as well as the entire American continent and the Atlantic. According to Piri Reis, however, this map was based on many other older maps dating back to the 4th century BC. The Piri Reis map shows South America with a steep slope to the east at almost a 90-degree angle, creating the illusion that South America surrounds the Atlantic at the bottom of the map. There are historians who speculate that the horizontal part we see of the map may be Antarctica, which is paradoxical since Antarctica was only discovered 300 years later, about the 1850s. If Piri Reis indeed borrowed evidence from other ancient maps dated to the 4th century BC, then it undoubtedly reinforces the hypothesis that Plato in 360 BC may have known of the existence of American continent to include it in its history. It's also possible that the obvious error in Piri Reis' map, which may have appeared on ancient maps, may explain why Plato had the false impression that the vast continent beyond the pillars of Hercules surrounded the Atlantic Ocean. According to a researcher and author Christos Jonis, additional evidence shows that the ancient Greeks knew about the existence of North America and apparently knew about the existence of the Arctic Circle, the bridge that connected Northern Europe with North America. And this was called the Far North, Hyperborea. The legendary Far North. The ancient Greeks seem to have known about North America beyond the Atlantic and were familiar with the area around the Arctic Circle, an area that was not particularly accessible, especially during winter months. It was essentially the bridge that connected Northern Europe with North America, and this land they called Far North, that is Hyperborea, the road to the Far North and North America. It's believed that the ancient Greeks believed in the Far North, where the sun never set and it shone continuously for at least 6 months a year. The only place this could happen was the area above the Arctic Circle, which is not easily accessible in winter. The poet Pindar wrote, "The wonderful road was heard in the festivals of the far north, neither on foot nor by boat you will be able to find." These words of Pindar were considered as proof of the exact location of the far north. So given that it was somewhere far north, that the sun never set, and that it was an inaccessible area on foot or by boat, the idea was that it was not a mythical, but a real location became more plausible. This I've translated to you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.